I'm sure you've heard the news, but the real story of how Iran became America's biggest enemy begins long before headlines and hashtags. In 1950, Iran stood at a crossroads, oil-rich, modernizing, and led by the ambitious Shah. American cars cruised Tehran's boulevards, jazz filled the air, and diplomats toasted a bright future. The US sent aid and advisors, hoping to keep Soviet influence at bay. But beneath the glitter, many Iranians questioned if their wealth was truly their own. Shadows gathered, the seeds of conflict were sown. In 1953, Iran's Prime Minister Mossadegh nationalized oil, angering Britain and the US. The CIA and British intelligence launched a covert coup, Operation Ajax, to remove him. Tanks rolled in, Mossadegh was arrested, the Shah returned, loyal to Washington. The coup shattered trust, sowing seeds of anger that would erupt decades later. By the late 1970s, Iran was a nation on edge. The bustling streets of Tehran, once symbols of progress and modernity, now simmered with tension and uncertainty. Beneath the surface, a storm was brewing. The Shah's rule was growing harsher by the day. Oil money filled royal palaces and funded extravagant lifestyles for the elite. But for ordinary Iranians, daily life was a struggle. Many faced poverty, unemployment, and political repression. The gap between the wealthy and the poor widened, fueling resentment and anger. People waited in long lines for basic necessities, while the government seemed increasingly out of touch. Streets once filled with laughter, now echoed with shouts for freedom, justice, and change. Opposition groups, once divided, began to unite behind a surprising figure, Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini. His image appeared on banners and posters, inspiring hope among the disillusioned masses. From exile in France, Khomeini's voice thundered across Iran, calling for an Islamic Revolution. His speeches, secretly recorded on cassette tapes, were passed from hand to hand, igniting a movement. Mosques became centers of resistance where people gathered not just to pray, but to organize and plan. Students and workers marched in the millions. Trust was shattered. The hostage crisis left scars on both nations, scars that never fully healed. After the Iranian Revolution and the dramatic hostage crisis at the U.S. Embassy, the world braced for open war between America and Iran. Yet, despite the tension and threats, a direct military confrontation never erupted between the two nations. Instead, both powers waged a hidden war, fighting from the shadows through espionage, sabotage, and secret deals. They armed their allies, funneled money and weapons to militias, and battled for influence across the Middle East, turning the region into a battleground for their rivalry. In Lebanon, Iran built up Hezbollah, transforming it into a powerful militia and political force fiercely opposed to Israel and the West. America, in turn, backed Israel and other regional rivals, providing military aid and intelligence support. Bombings, kidnappings, and assassinations became the weapons of this silent war, with civilians often caught in the crossfire and fear spreading through city streets. In Iraq, the United States supported Saddam Hussein's regime during the long and bloody Iran-Iraq War, hoping to weaken Iran's revolutionary government. Chemical weapons, relentless missile strikes, and brutal trench warfare devastated entire communities, leaving millions dead, wounded, or displaced. The violence and instability soon spread beyond Iraq and Lebanon, igniting new conflicts in Syria, Yemen, and other parts of the region. Iran's Revolutionary Guards trained and equipped fighters across borders, building networks of loyal militias and extending Tehran's reach. America responded by forging even closer alliances with Saudi Arabia and other Sunni states, sending weapons, advisors, and military support. Again and again, the two nations clashed, not directly, but through proxy battles, each side determined to outmaneuver the other. Each conflict, each act of violence, added new layers of hatred, suspicion, and mistrust, poisoning relations for generations. The Middle East became a vast chessboard, with Iran and America moving their pieces in a deadly high-stakes game of strategy and survival. But the true cost was paid in blood and sorrow, by ordinary people, far from the halls of power in Washington or Tehran, whose lives were forever changed by a conflict not of their making. By the early 2000s, a new and alarming threat emerged on the world stage: Iran's nuclear program. The country's secretive nuclear ambitions quickly became a source of global anxiety, raising fears about the possibility of a new nuclear-armed state in the Middle East. The world watched nervously, worried that Iran might be on the path to building a nuclear bomb. News outlets buzzed with speculation, and ordinary people everywhere wondered what the future might hold. America took the lead, rallying allies and pushing for a unified response to stop Iran's nuclear ambitions. Diplomatic pressure mounted as the United States spearheaded global efforts to contain the threat. Harsh economic sanctions were imposed, crushing Iran's economy and creating hardship for millions of ordinary people. Shops closed, the currency plummeted, and daily life became a struggle. The diplomatic drama only intensified as both sides dug in. In 2015, after years of tense and painstaking negotiations, Iran and 6 world powers finally reached a breakthrough. They signed the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, better known as the Iran Nuclear Deal, a landmark agreement that promised a new chapter. Under the deal, Iran agreed to limit its nuclear work, reduce its stockpile of enriched uranium, and allow international inspections. The world hoped this would prevent Iran from ever building a bomb. In return, some of the toughest sanctions were lifted. Iranian markets reopened, and there was a sense of cautious optimism in the air as people celebrated in the streets. For a brief moment, hope flickered that the long-standing feud between Iran and the West might finally ease. World leaders expressed optimism, and many dared to dream of lasting peace. But that hope was fragile, and the situation remained tense. In 2018, President Trump abruptly withdrew the United States from the deal, calling it flawed. Sanctions snapped back into place, reigniting old tensions and uncertainty. Iran responded by ramping up its nuclear activities once again. Tensions soared to new heights, and with both sides exchanging threats and the world bracing for possible conflict, the headlines grew more alarming. Attacks on oil tankers in the Persian Gulf, military drones shot down, and high-profile assassinations rocked the region, pushing both nations closer to the brink. Despite repeated attempts at negotiation, the nuclear issue remains unresolved. Talks stall and diplomats struggle to find common ground as the world looks on anxiously. Each step forward seems matched by 2 steps back. Progress is slow, and setbacks are frequent, leaving the future uncertain. The world watches, holding its breath, as the standoff continues, uncertain, unresolved, and as tense as ever. change. They want jobs, education, and safety, not war. Diplomats still meet in secret rooms.